Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Remember that this is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Look at that Clorox back there, keeping it on hand during this time of COVID crisis. Listen, I am making today one of my most favorite recipes to make, especially my most favorite for my family. They absolutely love this. This is Bolognese. Now, I've already gone ahead and started something, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about this recipe. But let me tell you this. This isn't what you have seen before. There is no garlic. There are no tomatoes except for paste. Okay, there's no oregano. This isn't the authentic recipe from Bologna in Italy, from the vaults there. So I got this, I'll tell you about it in a minute, but I started this video earlier and had some technical difficulties, and so I've got my pancetta cooking way too long. So let's get into it, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the recipe. We're gonna make this Bolognese. It begins with pancetta. If you do not have access to pancetta, you could get prosciutto, but it's not gonna be quite the same. You want pancetta, okay? Trader Joe's always has cube pancetta. We could not get in there today because of COVID. There was like a long 30-minute line. We weren't able to go do that. So I got some strips that I had to cut up. So I've been cooking that over medium heat on my stove for about 5-10 minutes. You do want to use a little bit of olive oil when you do that, and a little bit of butter, even though it's oily, because you're going to end up using that for all the vegetables, because it will stick to your pan if you don't, okay? So to that, I'm going to add, let me show you this beautiful thing here. We have this mirepoix. Can you see my lovely mirepoix there? So we've got our cut up onions, we've got our carrots, and our celery. I'm going to add first the onions, okay? We're going to turn this sucker around so you can see a little bit about what I'm doing here. Yeah, there we go, a little bit here. We're gonna put this in first. We're gonna put in the onions first. It's okay if some carrots get in. It's no big deal. I just like to caramelize the onions a little bit first. We're gonna add those into our pancetta. And now that's gonna cook up real good. And then in about 1 minute, if that, we are going to start to add the carrots and celery and let those cook. Now what I was starting to say about Bolognese, when I lived in New Jersey, look at, you can see all my cleaning supplies, how awful. Like how silly. When I lived in New Jersey, I used to love this little place right around the corner from us. What was it called? Romeo's. Oh, they had the most amazing Bolognese. Absolutely most fantastic. Well, when I moved from New Jersey, we moved to Seattle. And I'm gonna say something that might offend you if you live in Seattle. Seattleites, Washingtonians, they do not know real good Italian food. And I can say this because I live there, but also I was raised in Southern California, and we really don't know good Italian food here to either. Mom and pop, that's where I live now. I didn't really get it until I lived in New Jersey. Real mom and pop Italian food is not like what we have here. And so when we moved to New Jersey, when we moved to Seattle, everyone was like, oh, the Italians from Jersey, let's take them to Italian food. P.S., that's not what you want to do. You don't want to take Italians from New Jersey or New York or even Chicago to your little Italian place in your neighborhood on the West Coast. I'm just going to tell you, it's probably not going to be well appreciated. Now, there is one in Lake Arrowhead that has amazing Italian food. It's called Puglia, and it's actually, interestingly, named after this region in Italy that we've been to. And so they have amazing food. But for the most part, we just don't quite get the mom and pop kind of Italian over here. Like they do there. Anyway, so when we lived there, we had the most amazing, it was so good. And when I was pregnant with my son, Ben, I would eat there all the time. All right, we're gonna add in our carrots and celery now. So we just see that you just wanna let the onions get a little bit translucent. Look at my crazy mess back there. I wasn't planning on showing that. I've got a bowl and I've got Windex. I have called this messy cook for a reason. All right, no, don't judge me. Don't judge me. I've been gardening and cleaning today. Just didn't get to that area. It's all clean here in this area. Okay, we're gonna add the carrots. And I'm gonna turn this heat up. I had turned it down because that pancetta was getting really overcooked. All right, I'm gonna add this. So when we lived there, when I was pregnant, I would cook, but you get to a point when you're pregnant, I was working full-time, probably 60 hours a week. We were working at a church as I'm dropping everything. Messy cook, remember the title, I didn't lie. I didn't lie, I was honest. So living in New Jersey, where was I? Messy cook. Anyway, so I got to a point where I did not I did, you know, I was working a lot, and I just got to the point where I didn't want to cook all the time. I had one son, pregnant with my second son, and so we'd end up going there to get food all the time. And I remember one time picking up food from the little mama there, and I said, I never cook anymore. I mean, and we would get this like tub of gnocchi with bolognese and a salad and a loaf of bread, and it was like $10. And I'll never forget her response. She was so cute. She said, why would you? I made her sound like she was like Belarusian or something, my Italian. I don't know. Maybe you didn't notice. Anywho, so we moved to New Jersey, and by the way, while I'm talking, let's go ahead and salt. We already have a lot of salt in that pancetta, so we don't need to put much in. We're gonna put about a pinch, maybe a second pinch, tiny, tiny one there, and a little bit of pepper. So when we moved from New Jersey to Seattle, and everybody took us to their favorite Italian place, and it never quite lived up to that, I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to learn how to make this myself. And so I actually went and because I tried all different kinds and nothing tasted quite like what she made right off the boat. So I began to research Bolognese recipes, and I got my hand on a recipe that has since been pulled from the internet. And it was the actual and authentic Bolognese recipe from Bologna, from the Volta Bologna. Now I will tell you this, in Italy, every mama and grandmama has their own recipe for sauce, for ragu, for gravy, whatever they call it. So they all kind of differ, but this is like the authentic, real Bolognese recipe. So it starts with this mirepoix. It starts with the pancetta and it goes to the mirepoix that I was showing you guys before. Carrots, celery, onion, the holy grail. You cook with it all the time. You've seen me cook a few times. I've already done the mirepoix on several things. Okay, so these things are cooking together. While that's cooking together, we're gonna do something that you're probably not expecting. We're gonna take our ground beef, okay, and I already put it in there. You're gonna put in nutmeg. Yes, I said nutmeg. Now this is to taste. I'm gonna tell you, I do not like nutmeg. I hate nutmeg. Do not give me a spiced mulled drink. Do not give me chai. None of that. Oh, nutmeg makes me gag, but for whatever reason, it works in this recipe. Okay, so you want about a teaspoon to about a teaspoon and a half. I have, normally you want about a pound. For a family of 4, you want about a pound of ground beef. I'm doing a double recipe because my kids love this for leftovers. And then sometimes what we'll do is we'll keep the sauce and we will make it, we'll make lasagna out of it later. So a day or two later after it's been sitting. So you want to put about a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons or so. Actually, if you're doing 2 pounds, go ahead and do like about a tablespoon of the nutmeg. You do want to taste it. All right, and you're gonna put a little salt in this meat. Now, yes, did we just salt the vegetables? Yes, but we want to put a little salt in the meat. It helps the flavor of the meat, and it helps it to actually cook correctly. So salt and pepper, it's part of science, chemistry, science, all right? So we got some salt and pepper in there, and we're just gonna kind of mash this up. Now, could you add the nutmeg later? Yeah, but I find it just makes it better. I don't even know if this is part of the recipe. I've always done it this way, and when I haven't done it this way, it actually affects the flavor, the taste. I'm dropping meat over here. Messy cook. Again, people, I don't lie. I'm not a liar. You can't accuse me of being a liar. I don't lie. All right, so we've got this mixed up. Now, I want to say the other things you want to get ready. You want to have your meat out. You don't want your meat cold. Okay, so you want to have the meat out, sitting out for maybe about an hour or so before. Oh, my dog's like, raw meat? Raw meat? Can she eat that? I don't know. I think they do. I eat carpaccio, so she should be fine. She's from Russia. She's a tough dog. Aren't you Natasha Romanov? Yes, you're a very tough doggy. Yes. Okay. So we're going to let this cook down for another, let's say, probably going to go another minute or 2 on this because you really want to you want the carrots translucent, but you want those, not the carrots. Yeah, get your carrots translucent, people. Try to make that happen. That's magic. You're a magician. Go join Harry Potter. Don't know why I said that. All right. So what you want to do is you want to get these carrots down to, you want them to be soft, okay? You don't want crunchy carrots. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of look at this so you can see what's happening there. So you see here, we got this happening with the onions are becoming translucent. The others are to have another minute or so. So we're going to give that the minute, as my camera doesn't want to sit up, that it deserves. And then we are going to add our beef. The other things you want to be getting ready while this is cooking. Oh, come on, be kind. Nope, be kind, rewind. Yep, that's what we'll be doing here. Nope, doesn't want to be kind, wants to be rude. Rude, rude, very rude. Very, very rude. There we go, very rude. Okay, so while that's happening, excuse me, I've got this nose that's bothering me. You want to take and get some milk out. Okay, the main parts of this base, you don't have a lot of tomato happening. My husband's walking in. That's okay, I'm not going live. I'm recording. Live wasn't working out for me, so you'll have to watch it later. Your base on this, again, you have your meat, your pancetta, you have this mirepoix. It's not really a tomato sauce, actually. Bolognese is not really a tomato sauce. It has some tomato paste, that's it. It is a cream sauce. Yes, it is, but not heavy cream. It's not like a, name a cream sauce, my darling. Alfredo, couldn't think of him. Alfredo, he's the one who stabbed them in the back, Fredo. So, we just forget about Fredo. You want to have some milk available and some heavy cream, which I forgot today. Sometimes what I like to do, and you don't need it. You don't need the heavy cream. It's actually better for you without it, so let's not even worry about it. But I like a little bit of heavy cream towards the end, and I actually love to add a little bit of ricotta at the end of mine. I stir it in at the end. It makes it wonderful. Okay, so you want to have that ready, and then you want to have some warm broth ready. Okay, I talked to you guys about this before. If you watch Better Than Bouillon, it is your friend. There's beef, and there is chicken, and there's vegetable, there's low soda, different kinds. So here's the rule of thumb with Bolognese. Like I said, there are different kinds of recipes. All right, I'm gonna hold that thought real quick. We're gonna take this and we're gonna push all of the veggies to the side. All right, we don't need to add any oil. We got plenty of oil in this. Now, when you start this, by the way, with the pancetta, you wanna start with a little bit of butter and a little bit of olive oil, okay? Now we're gonna add our ground beef in, okay? We're gonna turn our heat up real high, get this ground beef to cook. All right, so while the ground beef is cooking, I'll go back to what I was saying. If I can remember, if I can stop touching my nose. Don't worry, I've washed my hands a lot. We're all washing our hands a lot. Okay, so while the beef is cooking, I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit more pepper. I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit more salt. Just a bit. The other ingredients, again, you wanna have the chicken stock, so you wanna get that ready while this is cooking. Now notice what I'm doing here. If you know, I have 5 new messenger messages. You know why? Because I started recording something live and my feed wouldn't work, and now so I'm live on Facebook, and so now I'm just doing this for y'all like this, and I'm gonna post it later. I do not like big chunks of meat in my sauce. Here's the thing, I'm not a huge meat eater. I actually love vegan food, I love vegetarian food. I live with a family of meat eaters. So for me, what is going on with my nose? Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just run it, get it out of the way. Oh, for goodness sakes, now it feels better. It's because I was trying to avoid the problem. On your way of avoiding a problem, you usually run into one. I believe that is the turtle from Kung Fu Panda. I live by that. On your way to avoid a problem, you usually run into one. No, it still itches. It's ridiculous. Okay, so you want to, back of the hand, by the way, if you're cooking, always back of the hand, because chances are you're not putting the back of that hand when you're cooking. So if you have a little itch there, a little life lesson. Okay, so what I want to do, because I don't like big chunks of meat, if you do, it's fine. I like to chop it up and keep it super, ooper, duper, duper, small little pieces, fine grains of meat. That's how they did it at Romeo's, so that's how I like it. I also don't drain the grease, the oil. I don't. Because you know what, they don't do that in Italy and Romeo's either. I should, but what I just do is I prefer to use a lower fat meat. Now if I use like a 20% or 30%, do you make 30% fat meat? I would drain it. I usually try to use a 85 to 90, in which case you don't need to drain it. You'll see with mine, it's really not, it doesn't have that much oil in it. Okay, so this is nice and soft. This is cooking really, really well. The other thing we want to have on hand is some red wine. You want to have some red wine. Now, here's the thing. You can have white wine, or you can have red wine, and you can have chicken broth, or you can have beef broth. You can actually use either. The recipe calls for either. So this is what my theory is. Doesn't mean it's right. This is my theory. When I am using red wine, because I'll just use whatever's left over, okay, but here's the thing with the leftover wine. Don't use old, gross wine. If old, gross wine tastes to drink, it's going to taste, old, gross wine tastes gross. Old wine tastes gross to drink. That's what I meant to say. It's not going to make your food taste any better, so don't go for like crappy, icky wine. You want to use a decent wine. Can you do this without wine? No, you can't. So there you go. You got a problem? Listen. No, I'm sure you can. It's just not going to create the same flavor. You don't have to drink the wine, and guys, don't worry, the alcohol burns off. If you're worried about having alcohol, I give this to my children, I'd give it to a baby. There's no more alcohol in it when it cooks, okay? So the alcohol part burns off. In fact, if you don't burn alcohol off in food, it's considered rude. That's the term in the culinary arts, because I'm such a culinary artist, is that it's considered rude if you do not burn off the the alcohol. So you burn it off. And we do it early in the stage. You don't do it towards the end. Now, here's the deal. We're going to cook this thing for 5 hours. You're not going to see the finished product, although I'm going to come back on later, and I am going to make some homemade pesto and homemade Caesar dressing, and maybe we'll show the finished product when we do that. Okay, this is still cooking. So like I said, if you're going to use red wine, this is what I normally do. I use the chicken broth. I figure it's got beef broth, right? But if you're going to use white wine, if that's what you happen to have, that's fine. Just use beef broth. I find it's the best combination to use chicken broth and red wine. I said that right, but honestly, you can use some of these recipes. So many of them just started because of Mama had what was available in the house. Now, this is looking a little bit oilier than usual. I am going to skirt a little bit of it off. You're going to forgive me as I step back and grab. We're just going to pull a little bit off. My husband gets mad when I do this. I'm just using a little thing here. I don't need to dump the whole thing. You don't want to risk dumping the whole thing. You're going to lose some meat. You're going to lose flavor. Okay, don't judge me for that Clorox behind me. It's keeping my kitchen clean. Okay, we're just going to pull a little of that off. You guys still with me? Hang with me. Hopefully you're doing this with me. All right. Don't want to pull too much. Again, I did this once. I skimmed oil off. My husband's like, what are you doing? You crazy. He's a true Italian. I'm truly Californian in my heart. I just can't see that much grease. And don't tell him I did that, okay? That's between us. Okay, now we're going to, there, I put a little bit back. A little tiny drop left over. We're going to combine this together. Now you can see we've got this all cooking together now. The meat is still, there's some areas that are uncooked. Just push those down, it's okay. It has hours to cook and get done. All right, so we have this nice, this is 2 pounds worth, okay? So I want you to see how lovely this is looking. Now, the first thing you want to do, this is another time my heart is breaking because we are in quarantine. I only use good tomato paste usually from Italy. But I'm going to go double check. I'm going to let you come with me because I'm going to double check. I know that I don't have any because I looked before, but I'm just hoping for a miracle. Because, you know, I started this whole thing with only a few rolls of toilet paper, and we couldn't find any because we were out of town when it all started. Hi, you're in my pantry right now. And I'm telling you, we had 8 rolls of toilet paper, and one day we had 13. I am not even kidding. We didn't go out and buy them. They multiplied, so I believe things can multiply. Nope, my tomato paste did not multiply. Let's close the cupboard there, the pantry. So we're going to use what I'd not like to use, but we're going to have to just, you know, desperate times, desperate measures. There we go. There we go. No, 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 no. Sort of. We'll make it work. All right. We're going to use canned tomato paste. No, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Oh, for goodness sakes. Oh, for goodness sakes. Nope. Hates me. Hates me. Life hating me right now. Life totally hating me right now. No. Nope. Still nope. Yep, this is really horrible. And no. How did I do it before? Don't know. Didn't want to do it before. We're going to hold this. We're going to hold this because right now things are hating me. Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to use canned tomato paste. It's going to break my heart. But I got to do it. That's all I got. So if that's all you got, that's all you got. Normally you would use, and it's like Stater Brothers brand. Whoo! I don't know that's bad. Normally you'd only use like a half of a tube of double to triple concentrate tomato paste. That's what you want. Okay, I know this isn't double or triple, this is single concentrate. So we're gonna use most of that can, okay? That's it on the tomatoes, guys. That is literally it. I have no hope here. I have no hope. That is it on the tomatoes. What is going on with this? It was just standing up a minute ago. Stand up. I command you. Nope. Literally nope. Sort of. We're going to go with it. We're going with this. Okay. So we're stirring in this tomato paste right now. Okay, that's the most we want. Now, to this, we are going to add our milk. You're gonna use about half of it. Now remember, you wanna put this milk out earlier, okay? You do not want to just suddenly dump in cold milk to this, all right? Yeah, this is much redder than I would normally have it because I would only use like a half a thing. But again, flavor-wise, this is a single concentrate. It's not gonna be a double or a triple. So I added half that can. It was probably a little too much. I'm just gonna say it was a little too much. All right, we're gonna go ahead and add some more. I added about 1.5 cups. All right, we're gonna let that kind of mix in. Shh, no one's talking to you. Oh, yes, apparently there are. There's other dogs talking. All right, oh, look at that. In the meantime, I'm going to I've got a little bit of hot water here, and this is where I am adding a little bit of that better than bouillon. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit. You guys need a better shot. We gotta work this thing out. We can work it out. No, 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 life hates me. Yeah, let's try that, let's try that, let's try that. How about that? Okay, it'll work for now. All right, except for I'm propping it up with a bottle of wine, which sort of I need in a minute. Okay, again, a little more milk. So that was about 1.5 cups. We're gonna actually add another cup throughout this cooking process. Okay, so every hour or so as you check on this sucker, you're gonna do that. All right, now I'm gonna add, now is when you're gonna kind of alternate things. So we're gonna start by adding the wine. Now the camera's gonna fall again. Messy cook. I got it to work. I got it to work. I'm feeling really special right now. Should you measure this? Sure. We'll measure it. Did I just add that to the same container as the milk? I did. Because I don't normally measure it. I don't normally measure anything. What did I put in there? You should put in about 1 cup of red wine, okay? This is gonna be much redder than I normally make this. We're gonna have to keep adding some milk to this. Okay. Oh yes, that is a very pungent smelling red wine. Now, because I'm doing a double recipe, I will do another cup. I don't ever add any of my liquids like all at once. So again, as you notice, I had about half of that cup of, cup of milk, and then another half. And then I did a little less than a cup of red wine. And I will, throughout the process, I will be adding another cup of milk. I'll be adding another cup of wine. Everything kind of, it just helps it kind of incorporate slowly. But the one thing, again, you do not want to put cold milk into this. So make sure you get your milk out, get it sitting, so you don't shock it. I'm sorry, you don't want to shock the meat, okay? It will shock it, and it'll do this thing that we call separating. Okay, you do not want to separate the meat. That is the sauce. That's when the oil comes to the top, the food goes to the bottom. You don't want that to happen. We hear you, honey. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of this, and by the way, this is really hot. So if you use one of these, you might wanna use something for your fingers. We're gonna add a little bit, and now the reason I have this in a sauce pot is I'm gonna keep it warm, and I'm just gonna keep adding for the next couple of hours. So here is the beginning. Here's where you have the beginning now. You see this? There's our beginning of our lovely bolognese. We're gonna let this thing cook. We're gonna cover this. Oh, there's a little burnt something we're gonna pull out. We're gonna cover this, and we're gonna reduce it to a simmer after that wine cooks off. Again, we don't want it to be rude. We're gonna reduce it to a simmer, and then about every half hour or so, we're gonna check on it and add, I think I said an hour before, about every half hour, add a liquid. Either add some broth, add some wine, add some milk. You don't want, see as how it's super red right now, that's one thing you don't want. You don't want a super duper red sauce. So if it's super red like that, you want to reduce it with some more milk, or perhaps at this point have some white wine in there. You could taste it, but I'm telling you right now what it tastes like. It's not going to taste anything like what it's going to taste in 3 or 4 hours. You do not want to let this cook less than 4 hours. That is the minimum. You could get away with 3, but I'm telling you, that 5 or 6 hour mark, that is when things get really, really good. So I'm going to be joining you again. Watch for the video that is on the pesto, and when we do the pesto, I will show you the finished product of this, and I hope you guys make this. Did I miss anything? Because my brain was crazy. We're going to go over the ingredients again. We start with the pancetta. You want to get the cubes, but if not, you can get the strips that you cut into a bunch of pieces. We add to that, we want to cook that in a little bit of butter and oil. To that we add onion. We add our mirepoix, the carrots and the celery. We let those cook. We add our ground beef that has some nutmeg, some salt and pepper. We cook that down. We add to that tomato paste, a triple or double concentrate that comes in the tube. The best ones are the ones from Italy. But if you get really in a dire situation, half a can. Notice, guys, how red this is, by the way, and I didn't even use half a can. That's not even half a can. So you really do not need much of that tomato paste, okay, if you end up going that route. But for 1 pound of meat, a half a tube of the triple concentrate or double concentrate for a double portion that you do a whole tube of it. And then milk and broth, either chicken or beef, and wine, either white or red, again alternating the color on those two, and letting it cook for 4 to 5 hours. I'll see you guys later. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.